It wasn't that I wanted to, it was more that I saw it as a bigger problem. And you realize like a big part of why they're either happy or not happy in a work site has nothing to do or very little to do with what they're doing. It's who they're doing it with. So I think that's probably why we've gotten this far as well.
Whatever works for you.
There's a lot of sexy stuff too. And this is what I mean about like diving into the general population client. I don't know if a lot of your readers probably would have listened to or read Atomic Habits. Gen Pop are the hardest clientele to work with. They're the least compliant. Like bodybuilding clients, athlete clients, like they pay twice as much money. They're 10 times more compliant.
There's no gin. There's no gin in this.
When you guys are done. All right, welcome everyone. We are back for another episode of Going Off Tap. This is episode 2, and today we have the fabulous JD on with us. For those of you that don't know JD, that's okay, we understand. I'm kidding, but he gave us a pretty hard time in his speech at our wedding, and I really only suggested that he come on the show so that I can return the favor. He actually made a comment about Jono being aware of poker shell necklaces in his speech, which we now actually know that JD did in fact own and wear one in his youth. So do with that information what you will. If you didn't catch on already, JD was Jono's best man at our wedding and is a really close friend. Oh, my voice is shaky. Of both Jono and I. And JD and Jono have been best friends for many years, which we'll get into soon. So why do we have JD on the show? Well, we thought we would give him an opportunity to stop lurking in Jono's shadow and also try to prove that he is in fact smarter than me. But in all seriousness, JD is an incredible coach and personal trainer. He runs his services within his own business, Coach JD Collins Coaching.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. He has an incredible knowledge around weight loss and mindset in relation to that, functional training and injury management, and he works with a bunch of NDIS clients as well. He was a massive mentor for me as an upcoming coach and PT, and he's extremely passionate about astrology and star signs as well. So welcome, welcome JD.
Oh, guys, no, mate, that's a hard one to follow. That's you pretty much nailed all of that on the head. So no, thanks for having me on, guys. Excited.
Yeah, you know why I nailed it?
Why is that?
It's because I'm a Virgo.
I'm just thankful you left the hairline alone. Like you said, there was a lot more you probably could have gone after.
On the drive here, I was like, damn, I should have added that into the roast of JD.
Absolutely.
So JD, obviously that was probably the best intro that anyone could have given you. But in your own words, do you want to tell us a bit about you, who you are, how you got into the fitness industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I've always been blessed with a love and a passion for fitness. Like I was always an active kid growing up. So it was never really, I can't say I was one of those people that struggled with fitness growing up. It was always something that I found intrinsically motivating. I moved from New Zealand to pursue competitive rugby. I moved over here, signed with a club, and then got a few contract offers. So it was all very exciting. And around that time, a very close friend of me, Kahi, who's no longer with us, he suggested we get qualified as PTs. And I thought, well, fuck yeah. I think after, footy's done and I've done this big career and earned a buttload of money, maybe I can work with teams in a coaching space. So went and got qualified and did nothing with it. And then one day I picked up a really big injury playing footy and I was on injury cover. And that brought me to Anytime Fitness Clontarf. And they'd just kicked one of their coaches out at the time. Yeah. Great bloke, actually. Really good dude. But yeah, they just kicked him out and they needed someone to cover the classes. And I thought, well, I'm qualified. I may as well get a free membership with the free class I do. Yeah.
His big ass knee and his knee brace.
Yeah, that's it. I was hobbling around the gym just talking shit and spreading rumors and all that. You know how it is. And one thing led to another, and I found I was really passionate about it. I think, as you guys probably know better than anyone else, I like talking a lot of shit. And over the years, it's been somewhat of a medium of mine. And all of a sudden, people kind of actually wanted to hear what I had to say. And I found I was actually really passionate. And I found that for the first time ever with my ADHD, that I was actually interested in something, and I was I was actually really passionate about learning more about, you know, training and biomechanics, and then eventually nutrition, and then, you know, probably more recent mindset and kind of accountability and compliance and stuff like that. So one thing led to another, and fuck, here we are.
As
Here
you
we
can see,
are.
JD is very book smart, a lot more smarter in a theory than myself.
I think it's why we work too pretty well,
Yeah.
actually.
I
Like
was
yin yang.
I was actually going to mention in my intro something about mansplaining, which you're very good at.
Oh yeah.
You want to know like the book knowledge of everything? JD
For those
is
of
your
you
man.
that actually don't know, mansplaining is like where I'm.
We'll make that a short. What is mansplaining by JD?
Yes.
And obviously, as I mentioned in my intro, Jono and JD have been besties for quite some time, and then I came into the picture, and then I became JD's bestie. But anyway,
Second bestie.
JD, Jono, whatever, you guys can take it in turns. How did you guys meet?
Well, we actually met at Fond. Actually, it was in the. We were at. Fuck, what was it? Institute of
The
Australian.
Institute, yeah.
Australian
Institute of
AIF,
Fitness.
just Institute
Yeah.
of Fitness.
JD was one class in front. He actually finished like just before me and was like a little glimpsey. It's like, oh, hey, what's going on, mate? And I think I was eating noodles. I was still smashing noodles and tuna. And then all of a sudden, I ended up seeing him at Clientele once he came in for his knee. And then by the end of it, it was like, boy, you should put your thing in here. And it's like, no, I'm still at Arnott's, man. Like, fuck that. Like, I'm playing here. And then Ned had like swooped in and I'm like, yeah, we got JD. I'm like, I fucking helped that one. Fuck her, man. Nah.
Actually,
Yeah.
Jono and this other guy, I forget what his name was. Were,
Tomo.
No, not Tomo. At the Institute of Fitness, they were the two guys that refused to do some of the warm-ups because they were like, it's unnecessary expenditure. And Jono was trying to bulk, and they'd rock up and I was sitting there with like a Subway or like I was eating like sushi every day because it's Fortitude Valley. And then Jono would rock up with this big tub of rice and tuna, and he'd mix it in with these bird's eye mixed veggies. I'm like, what a dick. Like, but that guy was massive, eh? But
Was
yeah.
this back when Jono was like 110 kilos?
Yeah, it
this
was
is-
125. Let's not leave.
You're going to have to whack that up on the
Yeah, the
screen.
picture
Yeah.
of him like this.
I've actually
Absolutely.
got that one still.
But yeah, and then and same thing. Netta was trying to headhunt me at the time, and it was like you know, Wolf of Wall Street, and he's like in that diner with that guy, and he's like, "You earned how much last month?" And he's like, "This much," and he's like, "You show me a payslip, I quit my job right now." It was a bit like that, I think, at the time. Yeah, but definitely Jono was a big inspiration, but also what's the word?
Catalyst.
Catalyst, actually probably a better word than I was going to use, but yeah, definitely.
catalyst?
Well, as we know, I am smarter than. we'll make many comments about that.
Just have to have a smarter than Sue section with Montana, I reckon, for sure.
But I think that was back in like 2006, 2007 or something like that.
2012, we did our
Oh,
certs.
so way off. You guys would have been in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you would
Jono would have been still like 20 something.
Yeah,
but-
Jono would have been like 30 something back then.
No, 2000. End of 2013. I don't know, somewhere around there. End of the year, and then it was around 2016.
Yeah.
We were at Clientele.
That's right. It was 16, 17. I missed one number. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
But since then, never been separated.
That's it. Joined at the
we
hip
we
since.
fucking we've been shoulder to shoulder. We went through, even though it was like we say like I did some stuff, but it was like without. JD taught me how to like speak and slow down, and they're like, oh, have you thought of it this way? And I was like, nah, fuck these guys. I'm like blowing up. I remember we'd be in the PT room and I'd be like cutting sick and be like, interesting. And then he'd say something like, nah, I don't like it. And I'd chill out for 5 minutes, mate. Oh, yeah, that's actually a pretty good, good indication.
When I came on board, Jono had a really successful boot camp, and he brought me on and let me be a part of it. And then the boot camp got a lot of momentum, and then the gym we were working for at the time kind of strong-armed him and tried to pretty much pinch it off him.
Take it off us.
Absolutely, yeah. And there was a lot of turmoil there. And it's actually probably something I'm really passionate about now. It's just new trainers coming into the industry and dealing with that kind of adversity, because it happens every single day.
So we didn't have any of that back then. It was sort of like, I think we always speak about it when we get in interviews, and it's always given back to like people. If we see someone like we did over the years, it'll be a certain choice if the team says, yeah, well, we like this guy or this girl or whatever's happening. And if they're just like a dick, we sort of like move away and like, oh, do your own thing. If you sink or you swim, then...
Montana was one of those kind of,
We
illiterate,
say
up
her.
and coming.
That's
you know.
right. And we'll definitely get into that a little bit later. But there's just one little thing that you left out of that story, JD. And I think it was that Jono finished as a master trainer from AIF.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to be a common theme, doesn't it?
And you did not, but I do recall that was due to a technicality of
Yeah.
you missing your train.
I remember
or
when he
something
got
like that.
through.
We
the
brought
last
that
one.
into the boot camp as well. It was a 3-strike system they had at AIF, and they did not care if it was heaven and earth.
Yeah.
Like, if you got struck out 3 times, you could not get their little master trainer stupid initiative. And everyone, as much as they said they didn't care, everyone was like,
Everyone
I want
cared.
that fucking master
I
trainer.
was super
And then
early every
in
week.
1 week, the train lines were playing
Yeah,
up, and I got
nice.
struck out in 1 week. It was so bullshit, but...
It just lets you know, like, it's just like punctual if you're not sure what's happening with it, or that little silver service. A lot of the time, most of the coaches don't even understand what it is anymore. They're like, oh yeah, cool, pick up your shit, let's go.
It's actually funny because I went through AIF as well many years after you guys. But one thing that they taught still when I went through was like pick up your client's water bottle and walk it around with them. And I actually still see Jono do that. I'm sorry, I don't watch you on the gym floor, JD.
That's fine.
I still picked a towel up.
The big
and it's
thing,
like,
they had that when we were going through, but it was as you lay your client down to do the bench press, make sure they don't hit their head on the bar.
yeah,
yes,
you're
yes.
always like keeping them. And it's
You
like,
would fail that if
Yeah.
you,
What?
did, if you
Yeah.
did not fucking put
Jason
your
did
head in
that.
the
And
head.
he's
Yeah.
like, what? And it's like, nah, I hit my head, man. Like,
All right, well, I didn't get taught that because I would have been like, ew, touching
I have
people.
clients smack their head on the bar all the time. I'm like,
person or
No, I would online.
oh, so you're one of those like
It's
online
different,
trainers.
we had
Yeah,
to sit in
okay.
the classroom for
Yeah.
like
Asterisks
5,
through
6
that
times
master
a week.
trainer then.
Yeah, I heard that they reserved that just for the degenerates.
Yeah.
They actually trusted me to learn
That was
online.
halfway
so-
still.
Yeah,
probably it.
yeah.
You know, life's not about getting master trainers or like distinctions on certain qualifications, guys.
No, we passed school and look at us now.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, guys, this episode is going to go for 2 hours if we don't
go on then, chop,
move
chop.
it along. So, JD, we're going to move a little bit more about your business and your coaching. What sort of people do you generally find yourself working with?
My bread and butter product is my base program, which is a sustainable weight loss kind of product for the everyday person. So I do find that like my more general population clients are the ones I work with. I do have a few athletes, a few people that are kind of, I would say, more consider like aesthetic athletes, and then obviously I have my my NDIS clients as well that I do a big population of them too.
And when you say athletes, obviously a lot of people know us for our bodybuilding athletes.
No, athletes.
But what type
Still a
of
sport.
what type of athletes do you work with? Because I know you've done marathon.
Boxing.
Yeah, it's a bit of everything actually. I think I was really guilty early in my career of, I was really insecure about what I didn't know, and coming into the industry I was terrified of, you know, people like Jono, for example. I walked into the gym and I didn't talk to him for 2 or 3 weeks because I was like, I'm fucking, you know. And so when I got onto the industry, I was really insecure. So I made it my like mission to try to learn pretty much a bit of everything. I wanted to be a jack of all trades. So I've done boxing, a bit of powerlifting with the nutrition, a bit of programming with powerlifting. I've obviously Isaac Hardman, did a bit of nutrition with him. I have ultra endurance athletes that did that Blackwall 100. Yeah, you name it. Soccer, I've got a couple soccer athletes at the moment that have just cracked topside as well. So yeah, I'm definitely more kind of sporting athletes, not so
Yeah.
much aesthetic athletes.
Yeah. You've got a broad range. You've got, you know, Gen Pop, you've got some athletes, you've got NDIS. You kind of touched on it there. You wanted to learn a bit about everything, but how do you think you've found yourself here working with this client base that you have now?
Initially it was more, where did I want to take my business? And there was a few options there, like you go super kind of high level, but I think I'm pretty casual and I quite like the demographic I work with, and I found that suited the Gen Pop kind of clientele. And I do think they're a kind of it's a big demographic that gets left behind. I feel like they're a stepping stone for a lot of trainers that start with Gen Pop until they find their way, and then they end up specializing in powerlifting or bodybuilding or a certain sport that they want to dive into. And for me, it was like, shit, like Gen Pop are the hardest clientele to work with. They're the least compliant, like that, you know, like, so, and this is what I'm telling them all the time. I'm like, you know, like bodybuilding clients, athlete clients, like they pay twice as much money. They're 10 times more compliant. Like all my athletes are an absolute pleasure. It's you Gen Pops that are actually the pain in my ass. So you guys are lucky that I love you, because
Super needy.
yeah, so that was the challenge for me. And I found that like no one is actually doing specific research and trying to, I guess, upskill in this demographic. It's like they start with this demographic and they go on to other demographics and they upskill on those things like periodized, training and nutrition and, all that stuff. So for me, it was like, I actually want to get sexy with these guys, if that makes sense. So that's how I found, I guess, targeting more the Gen Pop. The NDIS kind of just fell in my lap. It was like I had, to be honest, once again, Jono was a big catalyst with that one. He had Mickey, Two Guns, that he's a bit of a superhero around here. He was like just watching Jono kind of completely flip his life upside down for the better. It was just really incredible. And then at a certain point, I think Jono said, hey, they're bringing out this NDIS commission or something, you got to jump on board with it. So I kind of just registered, and then before I knew it, I was doing verification audit and getting NDIS.
JD knows a lot more about that than me. Just another thing to add.
No, it was same thing. I think with me, it's like I like to learn the back end of things, and Jono's been really, really good at kind of saying, stop fucking getting your head in a book, just do it, do the work. So it's kind of like I slow him down sometimes, but he speeds me up.
Like, take a leap. Yeah.
He's always the hardest worker in the room, which pisses me off. It is what it is.
So it's a give and pull thing too, because it's sort of like, we'll do. I don't think there's any. You just don't get PTs that work together with each other within the industry.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like what we have is like you would see stuff and we were like, oh yeah, we'll have a whiteboard session and we'll both come up with something and we'll both use it. Or like, we left the gym one time and then I heard JD was leaving and I was like, I said, if you ever left, I'm fucking gone. And within that, we were like, oh, cool. We're going to go to this other gym. And it was like, within like not even a second, I fucking sent my email in. I'm like, I'm gone. And it was just after COVID. And it was like, fuck, he could have stayed where it was and cleaned up and did everything. But it was like, it was a very big learning for all of us. Like we went through the good, the bad, the great, all the success that we did now is because we did it together in a way. And it's always like, no one's better than each other in a sense from there. And that's probably something that's really big now. Like we don't carry, sometimes we'll get carried away sometimes, but it's like, we don't carry a big head and be like, oh, my dick's this big or...
That's I mean, just on me, that's been a learning curve. Like, I used to get, like, there were times where I definitely got jealous of you guys early on. And there were times where it was like Jono's kind of showed me not to be so competitive, because I've always been very competitive and looking over my shoulder and kind of using him as like a, shit, that's where I want to get to. So definitely kind of learned from you over time, because you've never treated me as competition. And that was something that, like, that's why I think a big part of why you and I have always been so well is because you've just led by example. Because there's definitely been times where I'm like, this fucking
here's competition though, so fucking look out, all right? Yeah.
That's
like
right.
he just everyone has their own way, and I think it's sort of like, like I said at the start of the interview, I have a very easy, faster way of like, oh, you tell me what you want to do, we'll dive into it, we'll get it done. JD will, the process, the book technical side, and then putting it into a process that keeps it for that person to be able to prosper.
It was during COVID. Here's a funny story for you. And I said, Jono's like, we've got a meeting with Clontarf, the gym, and at this time they'd gone from not wanting me to film unless there was a whole bunch of stupid rules to, oh, you can film, or to the gym's shut, no one's in there, we're not making any money. Hey, do you guys want to rent the space out?
It was double the rent too.
It was like $200 an hour to film. And I said, well, Launton, the other gym we're working at, is letting us do it for free. So it was a whole bunch of stuff like that. And I said to Jono, look, we've been here for years. We love this place, but I'm probably not going to go back after COVID because of a bunch of reasons. And then Jono sends that email and he goes, guess what? He's like, thanks you. I remember that email too. It's the most passive aggressive email.
Oh man, I actually remember that too.
It was like, and people are trying to like hold you back and like, it was so good. And then I was like, oh shit. Because then in my head, I was like, fuck, Off Tap Fitness is out of the gym. This place is mine. I should probably not leave now. Yeah. But then, no, it was like you said. We've been joined at the hip, and I'll probably allude to it later on. I've read the script anyway, but like your community and the people you work with. So many times I've talked to my clients, and you have 100 case studies at any given time with your clientele, and you realize like a big part of why they're either happy or not happy in a work site has nothing to do, or very little to do, with what they're doing. It's who they're doing it with. So I think that's probably why we've gotten this far as well.
We actually, in the first episode with Joey, he obviously has kind of moved into that little niche, or more of a niche. I mean, he does it a lot as well behind the scenes, but more of like the bodybuilding clients now. But he mentioned that he still loves training the Gen Pop.
Yeah.
And I guess your from what I can tell, I mean, you do a lot as well, but your bread and butter is like sustainable weight loss for people, mindset, things that they can do
Balance.
like beyond you. Tell us about, like, I guess, you know, why you like training these types of people, why you like teaching, educating, and then also on that, can you define what sustainable weight loss is?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with defining sustainable weight loss because I think that's very specific to every person. I think sustainable to every person is very individualized, but to me, it's like I want to teach someone, I want to essentially, I'm probably stealing this off James Smith because I'm pretty sure he made this analogy, but it's like if when you're learning to drive, you get a driving instructor and then you fire that prick. Like, you know, if you still have a driving instructor 3 years, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not the best analogy because I have clients that have been with me for 4 years, but they don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that to me is success. I find that over the years when I started off the same way that we were talking about before, is very insecure. I wanted to be a jack of all trades and I went down the rabbit hole and biomechanics and, you know, everything in between, and did the nutrition courses and then just recently the nutrition diploma. So I wanted to be able to work with everyone. And then like I just found that I was giving people this sexy program that I know works from, you know, I know it works right down now, even down to like this smaller, you know, minute details. So why aren't they fucking doing it? You know what I mean? And then I realized the reason was because, you know, you're not working with robots. And so for me, it was, I wasn't educating these people on why it was important. I wasn't taking into account like so many kind of you know, educational factors, wasn't taken into account, our lifestyle, all that shit. So I think that's, to me, you know, where sustainability is probably, it wasn't that I wanted to, it was more that I saw it as a bigger problem than I feel like a lot of people that work with a lot of Gen Pops do. It was like, okay, I can either go, well, these guys just don't want it enough and I'm giving them the best program because I know I've done the qualifications. Or I could go, okay, I could dive into, you know, behavior, routine. I could dive into, you know, motivational theory. I could dive into all that kind of shit and kind of, yeah. So it was more, it wasn't so much that I found it. It was that it found me, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I like working with them because they're just battlers. Like they're just, you know, they're just my people. Like I reached a good point where I was making a good wage and I was able to buy a house, and I was, you know, super, super fortunate for that and very thankful. And I wanted to upskill my business, and I realized I can either go into that really kind of high echelon, move a bit closer to the city, charge $250 an hour, kind of fuck, that's a reach, but eventually get there, right? Yeah,
It's pretty close.
I could either go with that, but then I knew the type of people that had money like that, and I don't know if I would have enjoyed.
Want to work with those?
Correct.
Yeah.
Definitely a change of a demo.
Yeah. Or could I maybe go into building a team like what you guys are doing? And I just don't think I was ready for that because I was in the point where I was ready to build a family, and I'm a pretty selfish person outside of that as well. So it was more so that, I found that like working with this demographic and doing it in a way that's really easy to replicate and put into a program and help a lot more people, I found that was probably why I did that. I don't know if that answers your question.
That's a pretty good answer.
Thank you.
Nice. All right. Before we go any further, we actually have the GOAT Supp list.
Game. Yes.
Not sure if you've heard of it or seen it. It's a pretty big deal. Essentially what's going to happen is we're going to try a few amino energy.
Optimum nutrition.
Yeah, 3 flavors from.
Are you guys sponsored by them? If I say no, is there like someone waiting at the back in the van?
That's correct.
I saw a van when I rocked up here. Is that your van?
If they are, we're
Brandon's
get paid
van.
for it.
We're not sponsored yet,
Not yet.
but amino energy if you want to hit us up.
I mean, I've turned down Nutrition Warehouse a lot of times for these discount codes. So if your stuff is shit, I'm going to tell you.
But what we're going to do, we've got 3 flavors. We're going to try them, and we've got a ranking system. So A, B, C, D, E, F.
Goat is
And
number
yes,
one.
and then GOAT.
Nice.
So if it's GOAT, you can put it in GOAT. Otherwise, like a report card, you would have only seen C to F on your report card.
Fair.
But there is B and A there as well. So if you want to use that one, you can.
I will.
What do we got here?
First flavor, what
Green apple. Lovely.
apple.
Looks green.
I think technically a serving size is actually 2 scoops of this, and I have put the recommended amount of water in the shaker. The idea is to put the scoop in the shaker, shake it, and then...
New rules to the game.
Do we see this bitch just here sniffing water?
I was like, it's clear. It doesn't matter.
Super fancy. I wish you had tasted it and then just like played it off.
2 scoops.
Yeah, apparently.
That was 1.5. What are you
I'm
doing?
working, bro. I'm working. I'm bleeded.
Ooh,
Just a comment. Does it smell nice?
it smells like green apple. What are you doing?
You just pulled it.
No.
When we're doing the Supps, he tried to put the shaker lid on the Supp. Can you please zoom into that?
Blueberry raspberry. That's more my jam jelly right there.
We shall.
Total cal count 5 calories with 1 carb.
Are these pre-workouts?
No,
They just
they're
BCAAs.
Aminos.
They are, it's like, yeah, 5-6 grams of aminos and some caffeine.
Perfect.
I don't remember
It's
the.
never a combo that I've ever wanted.
Yeah. It's a good point.
I've never
Caffeine and
really
amino.
like made any recommendations for BCAAs because we tend to always give them enough protein. You know.
Jono,
Isn't it weird how it's gone like full circle in that space as well, where it was like aminos are the goat, and then it's like, oh shit, no, they don't work, but now they're like,
Oh, but
they
work
actually
again.
might work a little bit.
they could work, right? But if you're eating enough protein, I have
Can I drink?
some people that keep like getting BCAAs and like, oh, cool, you know, your protein's already high enough, right? And so what about the breakdown? I'm like, you don't train hard enough for that. Like, are you sore? I'm like, no. Okay, cool. Then let's get to there first and then play with it.
let's just let Jono shake up the other one. And then we'll get into the
Oh
taste.
shit, it was great.
Oh no, it's okay. We'll do green apple
Cool.
first.
Go on then.
All right,
Send
green
it.
apple.
You could put some vodka with that.
Actually, that would be a great idea. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
It's not bad.
Do I get to vote on this?
Yeah.
There's somewhat of an issue with your voting system, considering that I have not been here for the other testings.
They're different things. We're tasting a new thing each episode.
Yeah.
I apologize.
This is just for you. Thank you very much.
Oh,
You're only
so wait, you gave me BCAA powders on my interview?
What did you want?
I don't know. I feel like protein would have been the big one.
I'm
Let me
not
guess.
allowed
You gave
protein.
protein to fucking Joey.
No, we did
See how it is.
We did see, but oh, you haven't watched the episode?
So what's up next? What are we doing?
Anyway, we got to rate that.
I like that. That's good. It's subtle. It's not too strong.
And yeah, it is pretty good. And you know, when you do green apple, you can get that like soury, like kind of
I
yucky,
like that bit.
that yucky feeling. I don't really like that. That didn't have that. I'm not going to give it a super high rating. I'm going to give it.
I'm gonna give it a B.
I'm going to wait to hear whatever Mon says and then give it a slightly less rating so people think I have higher standards.
Who went in like in the middle in the last episode? Jono.
That was me.
Can I go in the middle of B and C?
I think C.
Yeah. So
I
I'm
quite like
basically
a C.
basically giving it a C plus.
Oh.
I'm just giving you a C.5.
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 So we're doing this one next?
Yeah. What's that one? That was blue
This is
raspberry.
blue raspberry. Now, I'll be honest. I am partial to a blue raspberry.
I like blue.
That's JD's cuppas, right? You guys do everything.
We do. Everything.
I don't know if we could tell that story.
Yeah.
or not.
That's for the uncut version.
Yeah, we are sorry. We have
That's for the Patreon.
what was it?
Patreon.
What did we
What
call
was
it? Off talent
Yeah.
uncut.
That's for stuff later, and we're gonna blurt out all the names, but
That's it.
it'll be good stories.
If you want all of those gym stories.
Oh.
There's a hit list and a half, that's for sure.
Anyway, blue raspberry. It looks good. Oh, D. Oh, no, wait.
Tastes a bit like medicine, eh?
I do
Bit of a
like
medicine vibe.
taste, yeah.
I didn't like it at the start.
If that was a little bit stronger, I would be putting that up with an A. But I'm gonna go C.
I
No.
think that's a C as well.
It's a D from me. Don't like. Don't like it.
D for dome.
I'll tell you why. I just don't.
This one's great.
Ooh, I'm gonna like this
I
one.
like grape. BK, don't watch.
Yeah, Jono's gonna track these 2 carbs.
Yeah.
Oh, the smell. The smell is goat. The smell is goated. Oh, what the hell?
I keep going for a sugary
Who
hit
mixed
out of
this?
it.
It was Jono.
Is it too weak?
I put 2 scoops.
This is the recommended dose.
It's still good
Crack
though.
core.
Yeah,
Because you've been
that's
mixing
different.
yours too strong every week.
It's still good.
It's too watery.
It's not as good as green apple, so
I feel like I underrated green apple. Can I move
feel-
green apple up to B and then have the other two at C?
I would also go green apple was a B, grape is a C, and blue raspberry, whatever it was a D. That's my votes.
I'll give this a C as well.
I'll have a C. I think my body just wants sugar, so
Jono was like, that was so good. Give me more.
like I've got like the hit. I'm waiting for like a piece of like actual sugar to come through. I'm like, I was let down.
All right.
Golden nugget.
What?
What?
What is happening?
I don't know.
What are you
He
laughing
thought
at?
that's an intrusive thought just went through his brain. He thought he went to say something and then stopped himself. Isn't that right?
Brandon's cacking up in the background as well.
Can you answer you can ask the question.
Done? Can you be done, please? This is gonna be great listening on Spotify. Someone's just on the treadmill and they're like, "What is happening?"
Fuck is this?
Without a visual.
That's the point. Go watch the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which they'd never be able to fucking do because I'm small fry. So
Yeah. And if you do, you're doing a shit job.
that's right.
Hey.
Anyway,
All right. So I think what actually happened was those aminos have gotten us way off track. We don't even know
Love
what
it.
we're talking about anymore.
Anyway, that might get cut.
So we're going to move on, and we're going to talk a bit more on your NDIS clients. Before we do that, do you want to let us know for people that don't know, like what is in NDIS?
yeah, sure. So NDIS stands for National Disability Insurance Scheme. If you're someone in Australia and you've got, I'm guessing you're an Australian citizen and you suffer or you have a disability of some type, either physical or intellectual and stuff, yeah, you're applicable to get funding from the government. And in that case, you'll be given what's called NDIS goals. So some of them might be to access your community better, participate socially in your environment with your peers, whatever. So whatever those NDIS goals are, that's where I come in. I'm verified and I'm with the NDIA as well. So you have different types of management. So you can either self-manage your funds, you can have a plan manager, or you can be what's called agency managed. And that's, that's where people like me come in and we pretty much do what we do with everyone else, but we just do it with people with disability.
And how does someone, it's PT wants to get into NDIS work or something similar, how do they go about that, and who do you think is best suited for that?
Yeah, good question. It's actually not as hard as you think. So when I go back to what I just said with you can have people that are self-managed and plan managed. Anyone that's a qualified personal trainer or exercise physiologist can work with those people, right? It's the ones that are agency managed and some plan managers as well. Like if you're not verified, you have to go through this kind of big cat and
Jump
ball
through the
thing.
hoops.
Yeah, it's quite hard to go through that verification audit. It's a bit of a pain in the ass and it's a bit expensive. But so anyone can work with people with disabilities. I would say it's just about going through that process and giving it a Google and, like I said, going through that pain in the ass process. But to answer your other question, I think patience is a big one.
Yep.
You've got to be very patient, not just with the participants in that situation, but also like they're not the most, you've got to be okay with the fact that they're just going to call you up on a whim and just be like, I'm not coming in today, or that support worker or whatever.
they'll have
You've got to be a
mood
bit,
swing.
a bit flexible with that. I've had clients and some of my favorite clients as well. Most of my favorite clients are actually my NDIS clients.
I agree.
Yeah, they're awesome. And they'll get right up to the door and they just melt down and they go home. So
Yeah.
you've got to be a bit flexible. The other thing is you've got to be confident. I would, like I said, going back to the insecurity thing, I was very, very early in my career, like wrapped up in having the clients with the best technique in the gym. I went into the biomechanics and went through ASCA and did like a few little kind of stints with some people that are really in the know. And I was so wrapped up in my clients having the best form. And you've just got to drop that because certain participants and they have certain intellectual or physical demands, they're just not going to have a fucking perfect deadlift. And it's all relative in the end of the day. Like if you start a client that has a bit of flexion when they deadlift and you start them off at a light enough weight and then progressively overload, it's still safe. Like,
Yeah.
and I had to be able to drop that. So I think if you're someone that takes yourself really, really seriously, and you're not very patient, and you're not very confident, you're probably going to have a hard time working in the NDIS.
On the flip side, though, like you kind of do need to take yourself seriously if you're working with these guys as well.
Yeah.
You kind of answered the next question. What are some considerations that come along with working with NDIS clients? Is there any others that come to mind?
Have fun. Honestly, that was the biggest thing. I was fucking terrified of working with NDIS and the disability because it is such a big responsibility. And you're like, this is one demographic a lot of people are terrified to jump into. And then I realized really quickly, they just want to be treated like everyone else. Like, and when you can do that and you don't wrap them in cotton wool, like you see Jono with Mickey, for example.
Yeah.
Like,
You just tell them how it is, because I know some of them will play on their disability side. And it's like, that doesn't mean shit to me here. Like, you're here to change, or, they'll...
and they'd love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
love that.
We're going to do it, yeah.
You've come for PT, and their carer will like try and step in. Like, no, mate, you go sit over there. They're with us now. Like, and I just think that the biggest thing that you got to have with it now is the caring factor, because everyone looks at these guys like a dollar sign. It's like, if you don't care about your client, they're not going to stay. More than likely, if they are plan managed and stuff, that the plan dudes like shift them to someone that will.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And they'll love you for that as well. You just treat them like everyone else. And they love a bit of tough love every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go older from it all the time. You'll get a couple meltdowns from there, but definitely.
A little bit of banter.
Yeah,
around
bit of fun, and you just have I just always have fun with it. I reckon they're awesome this time.
I actually do love when you've got a broad range of people that you work with the NDIS, and I think they're all really fun.
Yeah,
They're all
absolutely. They're all awesome.
What's been some of your best memories and experiences with your NDIS clients and your NDIS work specifically? I feel like there's been way too many. I feel like every session you have, there's like
Dr. Sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got some clients with TBIs just learning to walk again. He's got a really, really interesting background. So really different kind of cultural background and like where he came from and stuff. So that was like learning about him been really, really interesting. Probably my favorite of all time. I definitely do have favorites, and anyone that's a PT that says they don't have favorites, they're fucking lying to you. Dale, probably.
Yeah, Dale.
Dale, probably. He's lost over 20 kilos. He's talks about
Fucking
calories
legend.
now. Like, yeah.
Confident as shit too.
Yeah.
Deadlift like I think 70 or 80 kilos at a meet, and he's all up and getting his steps and drinking his water. That's been amazing. Aubrey, he deals with like autism and stuff like that, and just watching him kind of grow up and kind of come out of his shell, and he just loves fitness and everything about it. And yeah, he's an absolute
bugs.
gem. Yeah, bugs. Yeah, he can tell you every single insect anywhere. Probably the Latin name soon. I think he's diving into that.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
right.
getting into it, mate. Like, you need to learn all those.
Don't ever squish one in front of him though.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he'll have you for that.
I like stepped on an ant one time. So I actually had Aubrey as a client, and I passed him over to JD, and it was like we were walking, and he heard like a crunch. It's like, no, and just lost it. So I like stepped on his hand. I'm like, Jesus, come on, mate. Back that shit up. Keep going. Like,
He's a cool dude.
he's a good kid.
Let's chat business.
Yes.
Move it on. How long have you been coaching? Like, when did you start your business?
Like officially, as far as the ATO is concerned, or like, come on, man, I thought we were friends here. What's going on? I think we're coming on like 7 years now. I think when do we get qualified?
16, 17.
I count
went
from 16 from off tap.
I went away for a couple years and worked at Arnott's.
Oh,
for
to
like,
jail?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
that too. Yeah.
How long has she put?
Yeah. And so yeah, I think we're about 7 or 8 years now, I think, coming on.
We've obviously had a number of learning experiences in that time.
Especially contracting.
What's been one of your biggest learning experiences in your time being a coach?
Get shit on writing.
Get it in writing, baby. Contracting.
No.
So let's just say we're talking to an up and coming PT now.
Yeah, look, I think some of the biggest learning curves, I think the most valuable that I learned was an everything's my fault mentality. I think beyond everything else, the one thing I've seen helping a lot of kind of young trainers, but also clients that have opened businesses, and I've offered my help with some business coaching and stuff here and there. The one kind of thing that I think differentiates people that are successful and that doesn't is people that have a my fault mentality, meaning, shit goes wrong, being able to go, oh, that sucked. yeah, that wasn't great, but what could I have done differently? Or what can I change in my process? What can I build? Can I make a resource? Can I change my like shit like that? I think that is probably the most important lesson I learned early on that has kind of been my guiding light. I'll get asshole clients that will come in, I love them all to death, but they'll come in and I'll give you an example. This is 6 years ago now. Hey, well, you said you do meal plans. Well, I do. Yeah, well, why aren't you changing it? I was like, we're 4 days in and you've just admitted that you haven't eaten any of the last stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, but you said you do meal plans. So I'm in my head, okay, what can I change now so that in my next onboarding process, hey, I can do meal plans, or you can flexibly track through my fitness power. If I'm doing meal plans, I'm not going to be building them for you every 3 days. It's not an ongoing, like shit like that.
It's a program.
Get clear on potentially your pain points as a coach and then make a process around that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you've got to be happy in business. It's as much as you servicing your clients and being there for them, but you can't do that if you fucking hate what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
You need to be confident with it as well, because I think that's the biggest bit that people will take away. It's like, well, the program's not changed. Well, it doesn't. No, we don't change it every day.
the reason we take stress on as business owners, and we don't just go jump into employment scheme, is we want freedom. We want to actually, if the reason we take on all this risk and putting on all these hats in marketing and accounting and all that stuff that comes with it, contracting, and you guys dealing with the team, the reason we take on all that stress is because we want financial freedom and we want to enjoy what we're doing. The reason we take that risk on. So if you take all that risk on, then you end up being miserable. So what's the point?
Is there anything that comes to mind as one of like the biggest mistakes that you've ever made?
Oh, there's been so many.
Yeah.
There's been so many along there. I mean, recently.
And not just like double booking a session or anything like that.
Nah, honestly, like there's never really been a big, I think COVID was an eye-opening experience. It wasn't really anything anyone did wrong, but it was just realizing, oh shit, okay, none of this, can't take any for granted. It's smoke and mirrors, and it can be taken away from you in an instant. So kind of diversifying, I guess, my services and making sure that I'm future-proof and that I have things in place. And
Okay.
yeah.
Look, that might have answered the next question. What's the best decision you've ever made in business?
I think I mentioned it earlier, but having a strong team. I got an offer from a friend recently. She's lovely and she's a manager at a gym. And this gym on paper, crazy. Not that many PTs, crazy big membership base. They're willing to do a deal, headhunting. And I just realized I've dealt with so many shitty gym owners over the years.
Yes.
That the team I'm working with, it's not something you want to take for granted. Like, once again, 100%. It's not about what we do. That I've seen so many clients over the years and friends and stuff that hate what they do. It's not about what we do, it's who we do it with. And when you find a good team, I'd happily take less money to be working with people I like.
Yeah.
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 Put it together, guys.
Which is what I was actually going to mention earlier when we were talking about it, is that obviously we have lots of friends that are coaches and PTs as well.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I see with them in their gym environment is that they're kind of individuals, all working in a gym in their individual businesses. Yeah. Whereas we do have our own businesses, very clear cut that they're our own businesses. But even in like Anytime Fitness Virginia, we are really great friends with Shah, the general manager.
General manager.
Lucky. Rona, you got like the membership consultant, all the girls and stuff. And then even up to freaking Simon, the owner, like we have such a cool team and environment there. And yeah, that's an awesome, like if you can find that as an up and coming PT, like don't let that go.
Don't let it go, man. Because I'd say like we've went through, like in our early stages, we went through like 5 sets of owners, and there was even a time where we tried to buy the gym, and that sort of ruffled a few feathers as well. Trying to, if your PTs are starting to get up there, then find someone that you're going to be able to work good with. And we've always all had like a little bit of give and take. Everyone knows their own lane, right? And it might be, if it's someone isn't working with me, it'll go to Mon or JD, or we pass them on, or being that professional.
So we've got like a network with like different businesses, but we can always find the best coach for the client.
Referring on is probably your strongest thing as well. Like if you don't have the tools, it's okay. And to even say that, I remember when we first started, like I referred on to a few people. Like it sucks to give them people away, but you as a professional, if you don't have the tools, you're hindering someone's learning process. So then they can go away and then you never know, it might full circle, and then we're in a position now that we get referred lots of people, and it's sort of that give and take, and like it's okay to pass people.
Yeah, you say that. I just started training someone that has a clinical. She's a psychologist, and she has a clinic of her own and a massive team. And I said, hey, I'd love to get your details because I'm constantly, well, not constantly, but every now and then I have to refer people with EDs and stuff like that. I'd love to have a really good team that I refer.
Yeah.
I have a good team with ex-phys and physio and massage therapy with Brooke from Pro Sports and stuff. I'd love to have someone like that in that space. And she's gone away and come back in our session yesterday. And she's like, I was actually just talking to our, I think it was either their dietitian or maybe their sports psychologist. And she's like, can you give me his details? I've got a lot of clients. So already it sounds like I might be getting a referral pathway from her because just by saying that. And another thing, just talking to another young trainer that we both know, and she's absolutely amazing. And she's in the process of talking to gyms, back to what we were saying before, and asking her, hey, so if when you go for this interview, what kind of questions are you going to ask? And she's like, membership based, this, that. I said, ask how many trainers they currently have. Ask how long those trainers have been there for. Ask how many trainers have come and gone the last year. Try to get a vibe for the culture within that gym. And the more questions you ask, you're actually going to put them on notice, because the one thing I'm really passionate about, especially with our journey, is you're a sole trader, you're a PT, you're young, wet nose, you're ready to go for it, right? You go into a gym with an owner that has their own kind of goals and endeavors, and they have their own kind of thing going on. And what ends up happening in some situations, not what we've got here with Simon, he's absolutely amazing, but wicked. In a lot of situations you come into a gym and they're like, we're going to pay you're going to pay us $260 plus a week in rent. You're also going to be on hand if we ever need content, but you're also going to do some free classes for us, but it's in your favor. So that you end up getting like almost you end up getting screwed
extra
over.
Hours for no reason.
Yeah, and they do this kind of, well, if you've got a problem, you can fuck off. And it's like, it's as a sole trader, you're going into a gym, it should be a partnership. It's not, if there's an imbalance of power, you feel like you're not getting the best deal and it's not a fair deal, speak up at the start. Ask the questions at the start.
Don't let it simmer.
Because people just get absolutely manipulated, and it's something.
Plenty
That's
of gyms.
probably the biggest thing too. Yeah, because there's so many people in, like, especially in Australia,
Hear about it every day.
100K trainers that are actually registered, and everyone else is just doing their thing. And there's 28 million in minimum in Australia. So if you do the math from there, like,
they're failing left, right, and center.
There's so many. But then remember, you're, as a PT, you work with the business. They don't own you. That's probably one of the biggest things that they can take away. We used to, when we were started, the gym would always make it seem like the gym or whoever you were working for made it seem like they were higher than you, and like you're actually on an even playing field.
They're doing you a favor.
Yeah, you just wear the shirt. You have rules and regulations to play with.
You're signing a contract. You're not an employee, a representative, anything of this business. You just wear the shirt. But when it suits us, can you come down to the markets this Saturday? It's in your favor. You'll get clients. Come down to the markets, and it's. I've had people come through these avenues, and even yourself now, and not just people coming to you for help now, which is cool to see. And you hear these stories, and it's, I work for this gym, but if we need to shoot any content, we shoot it, and then I send it to the manager. They post it on their page, and then we share it off that. It's fine. It works. It's like, well, hold up. So you're taking on all this stress that comes with being a business owner. You're going to do this for 3 or 4 years, build up a client base. If you ever leave that place, they own nothing. You're not supposed to take the clients with you, but so you can't take the content anyway. So what are you taking if you leave? You're not even allowed a brand name in some gyms. It's like you're just so-and-so from EMF or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you leave, you're nothing. Like you've spent, you may as well start somewhere that you can build. So it's...
And then on the first bit too, whether it's a brand or not, whatever you sign on that paper is what you are. So like when we do stuff now, it's, Jonathan Bannister at Off Tap Fitness.
It's the company, yeah.
Jonathan Bannister, or I remember when I got banned at one of the gyms, and the brand JBF before OTF, Off Tap Fitness, was getting so much traction that it surpassed the gym, and people were like, because people were coming all over the shop to come train with me, and the gym got pissed off because everyone was checking in Off Tap and like, well, I'm running my own business, I'm going to do my own thing. They actually were threatening to cancel my contract. And like, it was full blackmail. By the end of it, I stood up and I was like, well, no one's going to fuck with my money. And then my clients are going to come regardless. I changed the brand, and then the same thing happened. And then it was like, once you have enough is enough. So when you do this under Australian law, they can't tell you how to operate your business anyway. So there's special bits in your contract, this is where it gets good that you guys should do a little bit of homework on. If you're unsure about ever doing contract work for either people, subcontractors, gyms, whatever, I highly suggest going just to see someone just to understand the terminology, because never had to have a lawyer on speed dial when going head to head with an owner before. I'm not saying that it happens now. But back in the day it did, and it was like, I understand this contract inside and out, and like I'm ready to take it all the fucking way if we had to.
On that note, if you're a gym owner and you're coming up and you've just invested your life savings into a gym, which is amazing, good for you. If you've got a trainer that is big, that's coming up, and he's registered his business address at he or she, and they're starting to get big, that works in your favor. Whether they're coming there for EMF, World Gym, Anytime Fitness, or they're coming there for Off Tap Coach JD, they're still coming to your gym and paying a membership. Yeah. And that was a big thing. It seemed back then in that situation, it was more, and it comes back every time I look back in principle, because I'm always trying to find the principle to this shit. It's ego. They had an ego, and they were annoyed that Off Tap Fitness was getting too big. And I always remember saying this thing: if you had Michelle Bridges under your gym, would you be advertising at Anytime Fitness, we have Michelle Bridges, or would you be, we've got Michelle from Anytime? It's like, no, you'd be like your biggest draw card. You'd be waving, and that's what Simon does. Simon literally put Montana on that banner out the front with her brand, and he realizes, he understands. It's like, if you've got these assets, fucking flaunt them. Yeah. Didn't flaunt me, the asshole, but I get it.
I didn't get it either, all right? Nah, sex sells.
You guys don't have the assets, I guess.
Look, she did clean up everything as
You've got this absolute asset at your gym, and instead of trying to flaunt him, you were trying to repress him, and it's because you were just, I don't know, I guess insecure or whatever. But
that's why having a good gym owner and good people around you can actually prosper, because if one person goes, right, I've always been a big talker of it. It's like, if you're at our table, everyone's eating, whether it's, you know, we either help you out with something or you help us out, like everyone rises up together, because as it triangulates, or the pathways, or your posting, everything comes back full circle. So like, you know, find that team that works good for you, and someone that's going to look after you and mentor you guys. Like, you know, we're always constantly learning, even though that I could say we're at a pretty good spot in our game. We're in that top percent, and I was like, it's not saying we can't learn more, but it was like, these small little bits and tips and tricks can certainly, you know, project you straight up.
Yeah, for sure.
We absolutely smashed that section out of the park. I think we just answered the final two questions of, the final two questions of that part. I think the biggest thing though to take away is, like, if you are a new trainer and you feel like these types of things are happening to you, reach out to someone.
Come out to us, man.
Yeah, or like,
don't have to work for us, but if you want to have a chat, feel free.
Ask the question. Like, I feel like every trainer, I feel like I'm not really able to talk on being a senior trainer just yet, but anyway.
Yeah.
Don't forget it. I'm kidding.
Hey, trainer.
Anyone that we talk to, like any coach, they're like, hell yeah, I'm happy to answer anyone's question. Yep. So just ask.
And if you do it and they brush you off, or they like snare you, you're probably asking the wrong person.
You can guarantee anyone that is on this podcast, Joey's another one. And even before you guys talk about Joey still doing Gen Pops, I remember talking to him about that at your wedding. Anyone that would be on this podcast would be someone you consider that if you reach out, they're going to be a wealth of knowledge, and they're going to be more than happy to help.
And that's another thing that I hear from people, like going away from business, even just like personal mindset, always having like a mentor and asking the right questions. So make sure you're doing that.
Yeah, sure.
One last thing around business, JD, you're pretty good at your content.
Yeah, I mean, no. I thought I was until I started seeing some of the edits the mad doctor back here has been doing.
Fit Focus shout out.
Fit Focus shout out.
Plug it.
Fit Focus.
I think there's another thing for new coaches when they do come in. I think we always don't try and be someone you're not. I think we can always look back, and I remember we used to try and make our content look so well polished. People like uniqueness, and I think that's the biggest thing. If you don't know, I remember, like, I think I constantly say it, I've did all these courses and I understand like the logic in my head, and when I try and tell it to people, it's like fucking regurgitation of like, oh, that didn't make sense. And I was like, that's cool, I understand what it is and I'll get you to do it. But then the same thing, how I always say with like JD, it was like, you know, you want to learn something real technical and you want it broken down, here's your man. You want it practicality of going out on the floor, or like you want to go from point A to point B to point C. That's sort of like my thing. And then same thing with Mon, very, very, very in-depth.
Mon's probably a good mixture of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mon's probably like the happy medium.
But it's finding what's working good for you. And I think your individuality, like we get well polished how we look sometimes, and you meet me in real person, you're like, what the fuck?
Who is that?
Yeah. And it's like, it's not what he was doing there. And it's like, and you'll never, you know, don't try and be this persona that you're not. Just fucking go out and be you.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. Obviously, your content gives you a great opportunity to mansplain things. So what is your thought process around content creation and the topics that you cover on your socials?
I have always been a massive fan, and it kind of leads into what you just said, trying to be authentic, I guess. I have spent time just trying new things, and I did try to chase...
Wait, remember that time that you had vibrators in all of your...
Yeah.
Oh, games school.
Yeah, I did a segment, for example. You probably pull it up here.
If you scroll down JD's Instagram enough, you'll find that he had dreadlocks at one point.
I did dreadlocks, and I was like, what about this kind of concept of doing like a play school where I take the piss out of people being like, this is the basics of nutrition and training and whatnot, and I mansplain it so much to the point where I'm like explaining it to kids, and I do this like have toys and stuff. But then I thought, fuck yeah, I'm gonna steal. It was Stevie's vibrator. It was in her top drawer. Shout out, my love.
Yeah, baby.
Go. So I stole my partner's vibrator, and I just started hiding it in all the videos. And I didn't tell anyone. It was like an Easter egg. See if like anyone. I think it was months later. So I was like, what the actual fuck? This guy's got a dildo in his. But yeah, I've always tried to be authentic with the content and have fun with it. But I have spent a lot of time going back and forth. And as I've learned, being like, do I chase trends? Do I speak kind of my truth? But now I guess I do play around with like a good mixture of telling your story, trying to identify with your audience, and make you likable and make you relatable, being authoritative in your space, having good content that kind of authorizes you as someone that knows what they're talking about. Because even though someone might not want you now, if you cater yourself as the authority on the subject, down the line when they do need a coach or someone to help out, you're going to be that person, right? But then also the third kind of pillar to that, I guess, is being funny or, catchy, because I think Alex Hormozy says something like 80 cents to the dollar should be in the first 3 seconds of your video. Meaning if the first 3 seconds, you guys would know it yourself, if you're scrolling through TikTok or Reels or whatever, that first 2 seconds is dog shit, you just keep going. And that's something I've struggled with, where you need to have all three. You need to have a call to action, obviously. You need to have something that gives them information and makes them think you actually know what you're talking about. Relatable, so they think they might want to work with you. But also it needs to be fucking catchy, or they don't even get to hear what you've said because they've scrolled. So it's definitely something I struggle with doing all three, but yeah, I just have fun with it, I guess.
Fuck.
Good one, mate.
What questions are you asking?
Mate, you've been skipping. I've been like going to do a questions.
Oh yeah, right.
Someone's
You've
already
been
saying
sitting
it.
back here like this.
Mon hasn't stopped talking. I
You don't
Shut
even
up.
know where we're at.
We're down to tips and tricks. 15 minutes to go.
Go on then.
Yeah. Well, what are the most frequent problems with clients' experience, and how do you walk them through these?
like from a technical standpoint, or like?
I guess so.
What are some of the most frequent problems that you experience with your clients, and then how do you work through them?
Oh, okay. I'll give you a couple. From a training perspective, I think a lot of people struggle to hinge at the hips properly. They struggle to use their shoulders properly, like scapular retraction and stuff like that.
Bless
so that
you.
seems to be, thank you. That seems to be probably one of the most common things I come up with. Compliance-wise, I would say, once again, that honeymoon phase when you're working with a new client, establishing what you accept and what you don't accept is really important. Like,
yes.
I have this bit of a spiel when things are all fine and dandy and peachy. That's a good opportunity to tell them how it's going to be. So one of them is, we're trying to, once again, here's your step target. I'm giving you the step target because of X, Y, and Z, and you explain to them and educate them on the importance, because I feel that's a big part of why people don't show up, is they just don't understand. I've been told to get fucking 10,000 steps for years. I don't understand, screw this guy. But when you educate on expenditure and total daily expenditure and how it relates to weight loss and stuff, all of a sudden they see the importance. So explaining to them why it's important, here's your task. But then also, if after 2 weeks you give me something like, I forgot to charge my watch, I'm going to say that's fine, but I'm thinking you're a liar and that's shit. So
Didn't
like
forget your phone.
you can tell them that in the honeymoon phase when they're all bright-eyed and bushy and they're like, yeah, let's go. Like, so all those kind of things. Same with the nutrition logs, or same with this, same with that. You say this, or if after 4 days you want a new meal plan, I'm going to say that's fine, but I'm not going to do it until week 2, or I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to assume it's because you haven't bothered to cook. So if you can say all those things early on, I think those are probably the most common things that I do now that I find bring value to my clients.
And just a heads up, the data doesn't lie. So we'll be able to tell if you do or you don't.
Unless they're lying on the
Unless
data.
you're lying on the
data. And in which case
yeah.
the data's lying.
The
You're a
data's
liar as well.
Any common injuries that you're always seeing coming up with clients, and how do you avoid these and overcome?
Lower back's a big one. A lot of like mothers, especially postnatal, lower pelvic instability. There's like pretty good. I actually have a lot of, now that you mention it, I have a lot of mums that come through too, or they get pregnant and then take off, which is paints me in a bad light, but it's not what you think. No,
Got them hot and sexy, huh? And then they leave us.
There's a good process in Australia and good resources to do like your postnatal rehab and stuff like that. That's a big one, is like transverse abdominal like instability and stuff, and that causes a lot of lower back pain. Shoulders, I have a lot of clients with like that had got injured shoulders over the years. That's a big one. Like I said, not being able to retract and depress your shoulders properly when you bench press, and so that's definitely something I spend a lot of time with clients. But yeah, lower back and shoulders seems to be the two big ones, bursitis especially.
Before we go on to the last point that we have, I want to circle back to sustainable weight loss, while we're talking about clients and tips and tricks for them. With sustainable weight loss, how do you prioritize training and nutrition, or is it like a combination of both?
It's neither.
Go on.
I prioritize lifestyle first, which sounds really hippie, but my theory is I'm going to go back to this flower analogy. So if we think about ourselves as an organism, and an organism wants to adapt when it's healthy. If you go back to, biochem and all that, if an organism is unhealthy or whatever, it doesn't want to replicate. So if we think about ourselves as a beautiful flower and you want this flower to grow, you want to be giving it sunlight and nutrient-dense soil and making sure it's getting adequate water and stuff. So the first place I start with my clients is kind of a similar process where I make sure, if we're going to apply a bunch of stress in the form of a calorie deficit, which is stressful to say the least. Look at Jono, he's falling out of his shirt. If we're going to apply stress in the form of a hypertrophy training program and stimulating the muscle and all that, we want to know that they're getting the best ROI from that stress. So they're getting the best return of their investment. So before I do all that, I want to make sure, hey, what's your sleep look like? Are you getting enough sleep? What's the situation at home? What's your responsibilities, your kids? How much water are we drinking? How much, are you getting sunlight? Like how much, all that kind of jazz. So once I make sure that all that is prioritized, then it's like, okay, in conjunction with that, because the reality is with sustainable weight loss, we actually know like the 5 or 6 key behaviors that are associated with sustainable weight loss. Like 90% of people or 95% of people that participate in activity 3 times a week, whether it's training or sport or whatever, they get like 8,000 plus steps. They have a nutrient dense diet. They get sunlight. They manage stress. They drink water. Like these key habits, people that do that, 95% of them manage their weight really well. So it's crazy. So it's like everyone knows what we should be doing to maintain a healthy weight. It's like, what is getting in the way of those habits? So I prioritize lifestyle, and then we start kind of working in those kind of things in a way that
lifestyle's nailed.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can we implement these targets that work around your job, work around your kids, work around your preferences? You know, there's a million different exercises I can give you. I know the one that's probably going to work best based on the literature, but if I was fresh out of uni and I gave you the best training program to 100 people, but they all get shit results because no one followed it, it's not really the best training program. So how can I kind of work all those things into that calendar that makes it work for them? Yeah.
One thing that I try to kind of work on, I guess it does come down to lifestyle, but routine. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's like kind of similar idea. But if you can create a routine around these habits, it just becomes routine, or it just becomes lifestyle. It becomes natural. Yeah. Like it's not really something like, I feel like people think, getting to the gym or tracking or preparing your food, it's like a chore. Yeah. But if you can just, you do your meal prep on Sunday at 3 p.m. It's your routine. It doesn't require thought anymore. Yeah.
I think they stop because it's hard at the start. Like anything, we're really bad at doing it at the start, and it's shit, and it takes too long, and then you get better at it and better at it and better at it. And I think Like, you know, we can do, we're in a bodybuilding sense, we can have everything done for the entire week in 90 minutes. That's clean, cooked, weighed, done in the fridge, ready to go. If you do it in a 7-day time span of 24 hours, right? If you add up everything over the week, sleep, eat, work, all that other crap, you always get left with about 20 to 40 hours of freedom, right? You're only asking for 1% of that, which is pretty much around 2.5 hours over the week. 90 to do your food, another 90 to end up doing your workouts.
Yeah. Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you.
There's a lot of sexy stuff too. And this is what I mean about like diving into the general population client. It's like, there's things like diving into habits. I don't know if a lot of your readers probably would have listened to or read Atomic Habits. It's a really, really good one. But it talks about like when you're trying to incorporate a habit or you're trying to break down a bad habit, it's like looking at the triggers to the habit, looking at the reward, and how can we basically, for example, right, the trigger to watching too much TV would be the remote. So maybe you put the remote up on the bench, so you have to get up off your ass to get to it. Or maybe then you put the remote in another room, so it's harder. You're making the trigger harder to a habit that's not serving you and your purpose. Maybe after watching TV or playing PlayStation, you unplug the PlayStation, you put it in another room. So now the trigger to getting to that habit is so fucking annoying that unless the reward is really, really important to you, then, you know, another thing could be you delete your services, your Netflixes and stuff like that. So now the reward to that behavior is not even that good because you can only watch general TV. So you've got other things, habit stacking. If you have a certain, every single morning you get up and you read your phone when you wake up, put a water bottle next to the fucking phone. So now you're stacking a habit onto a habit that's already, so there's that motivational theory. Like there's a whole bunch of science that goes into what makes us do what we do. And that's the stuff I find sexy now.
Read the book.
Actually, one thing that I've been trying to do, and if you guys have been keeping up with the content on our page, Brandon actually asked me a question at the start of the year and he was like, what's your morning routine? And I froze because my morning routine is dog poo. I have my phone beside my bed and I roll over and I grab it and I'll scroll, and then all of a sudden I'm like, shit, 7. Yeah. Jono's already like 2 hours deep in session.
Yeah.
And I haven't even gotten out of bed. And I'll be honest, I still haven't, I've worked on it a bit, but I haven't done what I want to do. And what I want to do is plug my phone in for the nighttime away from the bed. So that way I have to get up.
My mum's going to love that.
Yeah. So that's something that I have thought about implementing for myself. Within the last week, I actually just have to do it. So you can catch me on the next episode being so much more productive because I've been doing that. But yeah, there's some like pretty solid examples, or what's the word?
It's simple though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's such a, like,
Yeah.
there's small changes that make...
Define what is causing the issue.
Yeah.
And
fix the issue.
It's literally, moving your phone away. Putting your clothes out the night before, putting your gym bag in the car, whatever it is.
Yep.
Do that.
And obviously, if you can't do that, the goal doesn't mean shit to you.
And actually, another podcast, which is completely unrelated to fitness that I listened to, their most recent episode was Discipline is Sexy.
Oh, is this on the...
No, it's absolutely not one that... No, that's my podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was another plug.
I don't listen to that. I don't want to listen to my voice. I don't watch these episodes.
Who even is this lady? Imposter.
No, but Discipline is Sexy, and that's what these little things take, is just that little bit of discipline.
You know what? If the billionaires of the world and millionaires and all the people that run businesses, and you check out half these people's guys, girls, they are in pristine shape, unless they're not looking after themselves, of course. But the guys and people that are at the top, you always see them in sexy clothing. They look fucking fresh as shit. They're looking good. They got everything into their motion. You can tell someone in a physicality of how their physique is. You don't have to be peeled as shit, right? But you can be in a happy state that you can live life pretty bloody easy with super. You dumb it down to the basics and then you build it up from there.
Everyone that I've ever known that was successful, when you look right from us at this table right up to fucking The Rock, whoever, Jeff Bezos, very confident people. And I say to my clients, I say, in my opinion, self-confidence just comes from doing what you said you were going to do, your inner monologue, right? And I feel like people that don't do what they said they were going to do are struggling with that. And I've struggled with that myself. And that's kind of where that kind of methodology, I guess, come from. And they said, well, how do we get self-confidence? I said, set your targets lower.
Yeah.
If you're drinking 1 liter a day less, drink 1.2 and say you're going to do it to yourself, motivate yourself, prioritize your time, make a plan, execute the plan, and guess what? You've just gained some momentum. And then go from that to 1.5 to 2 point. The more often you do what you said you were going to do, the more momentum you get, the more confidence you get in yourself. It's no different from like if Jono and me were best friends early on and he constantly said he was going to do shit and then he didn't rock up, I would have very little confidence in what he says. I wouldn't really trust him, right? And we don't have trust with ourselves a lot of the time. And the more often we can do what we said we were going to do, the more trust we have in ourselves, the more confidence we build, momentum we build, and we then tackle bigger and brighter obstacles.
1%ers, bud.
That's it.
Add those deposits every day.
Something else that was in that podcast, and it again comes down to discipline, and they were just talking about being more confident. Like within themselves. You just said that we're all like confident on this table, which if you said that 2 years ago about me,
perfect example.
Yeah, you would be like, maybe not. And what I've done is I've just shown up as someone that
doesn't have to be good.
Yeah, like I've just shown up as who I would be if I was confident, and then I guess I just became that.
Yeah.
So yeah, again,
Even if you have to drag it, doesn't have to be 100. We all have shit days. There'll be good days. There'll be bad days. There'll be really, really good days and even better good days. And there'll be days that you're like,
I said,
this sucks.
I set out to learn about like accountability and compliance and mindset and the psychology behind it. And I talked to a guy, he used to be a coach at Flex Success. He's Dalton Frank.
Hey.
Cool dude. Yeah, really nice guy. He sat down with me, I paid him for his time, and he was taking me through some of the things he does with clients. And there's like this like focus thing he does where it's like, hey, Mon, we're really struggling to get you at, doing these targets. Can you basically envision what success looks like? I want you to envision exactly who this avatar is of this person that you want to be, right? What do you think?
Doing?
Yeah, what is she doing at the end of the week? Like, what does her week look like?
Yeah.
And it's because we have this kind of mind block. If we can't actually envision what success looks like, we find it hard to relate to that. And then we find it hard to do the things that avatar would do.
Yeah.
So if we can actually envision it, it's just like full on like envisioning what they look like and like all the senses. So what are they doing? Are they going for a walk? What do they got in their hand? Coffee? What does the coffee smell like? Like he goes full like balls deep into this like avatar of what that looks like by the end of week 1 or week 2 or something. And he goes, now that you can envision it, how do you feel? And he reckons that there's a massive correlation and success between compliance when you can actually envision that. And once again, the more confidence you get in that, the easier it is to envision. And like you look now, if I said to Jono, you're going to be world champ at the end of the year, you're going to fucking do this, 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 and this. I can see it already in your eyes. You're someone that's like, yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm coming, motherfuckers.
Absolutely, that's what I mean.
I'm coming.
That's exactly right. So you can envision that, but the average person I work with that comes in, single mum from accounts, struggling, always had an issue with the way she looks, really, really insecure about being in a gym, right? If I ask her to envision, I'll give you an example like Montana, right? I want you to envision from where you are what would Montana do? Can you do that? No, because the difference is so I need you to envision. Yeah. So it's all relative, small steps, and confidence.
Because remember, not everyone is built. It could take you a year. It could take you 2 years. It's taken us fucking 8 years to get where we are now.
Yeah, I've only done it in a few, but that's right.
Yeah, well, you were fast tracked because we had us, so
that's right. Yeah, it was all me.
Yeah, so fuck JD with his ideas.
No, but
JD thinks of him. I just get
I'm in the shadows, right? They don't put me out the front because of my receding hairline and my sarcasm. But,
there you go.
I'm very important.
James Smith had someone in the shadows, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
They still took over the world.
Bottom line is anyone can do that. Anyone can do that though. You just gotta do all.
You just got to do the work. That's all it is. Whether it's good or it's bad, just do the fucking work.
And the last thing that I think we should touch on, because we kind of alluded to the coffee club earlier in the and not the coffee club as in the coffee club, but a coffee club was a little community that we
It was all of our coaching service, all our clients, all the people that we've worked with, people that even when you don't work with us, you're still part of us, right? There's this open door.
We'll call them the OGs.
Yeah, the OGs of the Clontarf area.
And a lot of them were at our wedding, so that kind of paints the picture of how... And this just came from these two guys.
They have no friends.
And it's
all that.
No.
just because the service opens the doors to many people, right? And I think the biggest thing that we can take away is even though this is a service, we still got a caring nature. We'll still reach out to people we haven't talked to in fucking years and be like, "Oi, how you been?" Or let's catch up. Or that was the community base back then. We were always hanging out with each other on a Friday, Saturday. I think it was every Monday.
The Ambass.
Monday, Wednesday in the mornings, Ambass fucking dinners and
camping trips.
Camping trips, far out.
Which
so we alluded to it, but what's the question?
Yes, I know. Jono just took over. obviously we have, you guys mainly have created such a strong community within your clients and stuff. How, like, obviously that everyone, I feel like most people know that is a pretty big part of a coaching business.
Massive.
How have you built, or I guess this is a question for both of you. How have you built such a strong community within your client
Fucking
base?
caring, right? So say everyone wants to get a result, right? But sometimes I have lots of clients that have been with me ever since I first started. Like JD said before, they don't need us. They'd rather be with us. You know, some people will come for coaching to get the body they want. Cool, you got the body, now what? Oh shit, cool, keep it. Or learn different processes. Over those period of times, you'll end up having it all interlinks with each other, right? Like everyone has no one's better than one person in our community. And it's like, and if there ever is, I know I was always the first one to fucking chomp into them. Like, we don't do that here. Like, that's not welcome. If it poisons the pool, then we take it out. And it's sort of like, I even have an open door policy if I'm being a dick, or especially when I get in prep. Sometimes I'm a little bit less, down to earth.
A little bit less.
Little bit cutthroat. My filter is full straight, and it's like, oh well, I'm dieting with you, and if that's how you feel about it, that's tough fucking shit.
There it is.
And that's where it would come. But there'd be certain bits that are like, I give everyone pre-warning, and like, they as much as I look after everyone else, they look after me as well. Like I'll send late.
This guy is a gremlin during prep, and the because of how he is with his clientele and the community he's built, that's why he gets away with it during prep, because he's amazing, and he'd take the shirt off like his own back for you, and that's a testament. I think
fit a few people in this room.
That's exactly right.
The money side stuff is put aside. It's like, we don't do this. Yeah, we do this for making a career in a business and a lifestyle and all that stuff, but put that stuff aside. If the world ended tomorrow and everyone had fucking money, I'd still be doing what I'd be doing. Like, I literally go to sleep and I fucking train people while I'm sleeping. It's fucked up, and I'll be like, yeah, another one, and I'll wake up, Mon's like taking the piss out of me because she's recorded me, and like, like that's I made for this shit.
I don't know if I have actually told this story on socials before, but when we first started dating, and I obviously wasn't used to him doing that. Now I don't wake up to it. I'm assuming he still does it. But when we first started dating, he would be in his sleep being like, all right, yep, 3 more. Good, yep, good depth, nice.
Good depth.
And I'm
Are we still talking about training?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm trying to talk to him, like egg him on a bit. I'm like, oh yeah, how many reps left, Jono? And he would like answer, and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Oh, my shoulder's sore. Shut up, keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
I think, I think on my side of things, Jono, you say it was us two, it was Jono. Like when I came to Contaf, I inherited that fitness community, and it's something I've struggled to build in my own business because of the way I am. Jono and you and I are all kind of like yin and yang. I'm very different, and I attract a very different clientele. I attract the type of people that don't really want to post a whole lot, and I attract the kind of all your Panic at the Disco fans and your angsty teenage. No, but so for me, for a lot of years, I was like, I don't need a community. My guys are kind of a bit more individuals, and they don't need it and stuff. And it's actually taken to me until like this last year or so to actually realize I was completely wrong. I started business coaching through you guys. Actually, great referral, thank you. Trainer HQ was one of legends.
Top referral.
Yeah, you watch. They'll be using this on one of their fucking paid ads. But it took that to see how wrong I was, that how much I'd been missing out, not building my own kind of community and giving people their own kind of medium. Because even though they came across like they didn't really want that, and quite often they'll be like, look at all these people tagging and stuff. Like, I could never do that. It's like they secretly,
everyone wanted
that
it.
shit. People want to be,
just not confident.
That coffee club that I think we did actually start the coffee club at Contaf. That was probably all 3 of us. Yeah. That's a perfect testament to it, is that people would come in and they would crack the shits because we'd all be sitting there
at
saying
the front.
hello.
Most of the time, some people didn't even fucking train that morning. They would turn up. They would come before work.
But the point is, the people that complained about being said hello to, they were like, I fucking hate it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Some of those pricks ended up being in the coffee club. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
was that Peter?
It was Peter. Absolutely, it was Peter Lawson. But that's my point, is that even the people that said they don't want that kind of community, people are always craving community. It's people come for the knowledge, they come for the weight loss, they stay for the community.
That atmosphere and, you know, the camaraderie as much as it goes through. There's certain times we do like to have a lot of fun within the community, but when it starts getting in the way of their goals, you either shift the goal or you get a little bit of pressure or you move into another factor. But it's always intertwining. Everyone's always like, you know, they're always doing something together. And I think that's the biggest bit that I've always taken over all the years, no matter where I go. And like every person that's met me, I am quite infectious, and like, I don't do it to fucking suck up your ass. I'm not trying to be your friend for no reason. If I like you, I like you. If I don't like you, trust me, you'll fucking know. But I still have the time for you, even though, if people don't like me, that's all good. But eventually it'll start to wear on you, and like everything that we do comes back to the community side. Like no matter where we are, you can drop us in a dead gym, and we've proven it multiple times. No matter what gym we go to, all of us, we go in, bang, everyone will start to go through. We get the community coming through. Everyone, you start, you know, these people would not talk to each other outside of, you know, our businesses or our training camps, or even the boot camps. Our boot camps were like 50, 60, 70 people, and you would not picture them all hanging out together and, you know, going on camping trips or going to, you know, getaways or all kinds of weird
fucking each other. Right?
Yeah. Everyone starts having kids together and getting married.
Jesus.
I was best man at a wedding just recently for exactly that reason.
Yeah. You know, you never know what happens with community, and it's like, it's always the biggest things. And, you know, family is always an important thing.
It's definitely a benefit. I think I've always said this as well. Like, if your doctor helps you with your gout, you do not put a post up on Facebook saying, thanks, Dr. Hendry, for fixing my gout.
Yeah.
You know, your physio helps you with your knee. Like, very rarely do you even thank them. We're very fortunate for the job we have. And I guess one of the benefits as well is the community. It's not something that I thought I would benefit from, or that I even anticipated getting into this industry, but it's definitely one of like the highlights of being able to do what we do is the people that come with it, and all that comes with it, like the learning, the support. Yeah.
And the
cool.
Christmas party.
And the Christmas parties. You all love that
I'll be
shit.
sitting there, I have an argument with Stevie, the next morning I'm sitting there talking to a client, and they're like, yeah, but did you consider that? And I'm like, no, I fucking didn't. Thanks for that. Like, and
it's
like,
now I'm an
revolving
asshole.
door of information, eh?
the bloody ATO, I've got to do this, and this. And have you considered a trust, mate? And I'm like, oh, thanks for that, mate. Like, so it's both ways. Like, we help our clients, but man, like, I'd say it's tenfold. I feel like they've helped me over the years more so.
All right, guys, we have waffled on for a very, very long time.
Fair.
That's definitely going to be a long episode. So if you made it through, thank you for listening. That was episode 2. Thank you for JD for coming on. I hope throughout this episode I have cleared up to you why I received the distinction in the IOPN and JD.
Don't know how. We both had the same answers.
But JD,
fucking bullshit.
JD, before we go, can you let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, look, Instagram, Coach JD Collins, website, www.betterthanoftap.com.au.
Follow that link and you'll find him there.
Yeah, www.coachjdcollins.com.au, or even Anytime Fitness Virginia. I'm just the slightly taller,
better
more
hairline.
Yeah, that's right. Less
bigger muscles,
quieter, can run 5K.
The one that's not blonde.
That's right. But yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on. And you guys are killing it. It's awesome to see. So keep doing you.
Awesome.
See that? He said we're all killing it. We're all killing
and we'll have another episode for you next month with some more special guests. So make sure you guys tune in, stay updated, and follow us for more. Oh, and make sure, please, if you could leave a review, 5-star rating on your platform of choice, that would be amazing.
Make sure to tag, share, and post all the sites so we can get this out there to everybody else. If you have had any troubles with training or with coaching, nutrition, bodybuilding, Gen Pop, athletes, anything that revolves around that bad boy, feel free to drop either of us a little bit of a linky down below.
And if you have any requests on who you'd like to see or what you'd like to see next, let me know. All
right, guys. Thank you. See you next time.
See you guys.
How long was that?
About an hour and 45.
Fuck.
Was it?
Was it? From filming?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's a bit long.
It was a long one.